enough players would agree with this, is that even if you beat a team, that team could beat a team that destroyed you. It's kind of like, take every stat you see with a grain of salt in terms of matchups. So this game, this split matchup could go either way. Statistically, Gen.G are definitely the better team, sitting 13-9 currently, whereas unfortunately for FaZe, they sit similarly on, like they did with Haven, 3-3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I guess we are waiting for at least the picks and bans. It looks what would be expected, right? Really on any map. Splits, there used to be metas in a sense just for this individual map. I think we were talking about, I think it was like Sage. I think it was like Sage Silva, mainly in mid, but we're simply not going to see that anymore. At this point, we already have what is a solid tier of characters in the entire map pool that can just work out on any map, especially when we're talking about GMD and his breach. That man, with the 3 flashes, he's going to be able to clear up any of these sites with ease. There's only, essentially, both of these sites, they have 2 choke points, one elevated and one close. The close choke points, they all have walls that lead directly onto site, and they can go pretty high. And to that extent, you can get pretty crafty with them. So I think just that breach alone might be a little bit of an X factor. Heading into the rest of this one, there's really not much to talk about in terms of just pure character pool. It's fairly similar to what we've seen throughout this entire day, this entire week. And as we're going to see even more, qualifier number 2 coming out tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, we are heading finally into the pistol round. It's 1-1. Split is the decider.
Yeah, speaking of those agent pools, I mean, this is one that Gen.G has run quite a number of times in the past. 4 times they played with this lineup. They've won 2 of them, but FaZe, they swapped ZachaREEE off of the Cypher onto a Killjoy. I don't know if that changes that dynamic. Definitely ZachaREE's been a very key figure in winning rounds, especially on a map like Vine with an agent like Killjoy, and clearly they're holding up true. That Nano Storm Grenade holds the entire offensive line of Gen.G back and gives them a great start, and it looks like Rawkus is trying to still build upon that. 2 players up here for Gen.G, make it just the one. MkaeL will do what he can, but there's not much he can say on this one. Corey finishes him off, and FaZe are still perfect on pistol rounds.
No charges left.
I think yesterday they lost out a singular pistol, but today they're perfect. Yet another one for FaZe, man, and again, we can just see out what would be that bonus for them. Just this bonus round is going to hard reap their rewards, because I think Gen.G, I would be very surprised if they 4-spot out onto this one. It's the whole double eco kind of mindset, and I think this game kind of encourages you to save a whole lot more than, you know, of course, what we're talking about in CS, because even in CS you can get a whole lot of bonuses just from, you know, very small things. This game doesn't exactly have that luxury all the time. But, well, now at this point, FaZe, they're facing on what is a group of classics in a singular frenzy, and they're making it look easy. BABYBAY with 2. GMD, however, does take 2 back, so that's a little bit of a reinvestment for this squad, but not much. We ended up seeing one of these players, if I'm not mistaken, with a ghost, and I think 2 of them even. They ended up redistributing the cash. 3 players held up on Spectres in the last round. So FaZe, their reinvestment aren't going to be too massive, if I'm being completely honest. Gen.G, they have rifles this round, though. Sully.
One thing that is going to concern me later on, I feel like in this game with FaZe, is the lack of a Jett. If you guys watch any of Alex or Van Silly's late night match review streams, which are obviously always a joy, I love to watch them and fall asleep to them. He always talks about the lack of a Jett on some agents, specifically teams like Space Station Gaming, where you have the likes of Busio playing a Phoenix instead of a Jett. You get a little bit concerned, because the key thing with a Jett and the difference I think with the Phoenix is that Jetts on certain maps like Vine and especially like Haven, such long avenues to use that dash and open things up, it creates so much space for the team. And with that lack of Jett for FaZe, without BABYBAY on said Jetts, it does raise a question with how are they going to create so much space? You do still have Corey on the Phoenix, but then again, the Phoenix is always so limited to how much space it can make with its utility.
Sully, I have something for that. Again, I noticed this, but it was a little bit small for me, because I didn't really realize the magnitude of this. Marved has only played Reyna once in an official match. In an official map before. Only a singular time. Van ended up getting, I think it was a 15, 17, and 4 KDA. And this is only his 2nd time against Gen.G of all teams, pulling out the Reyna. And I'm interested to see if it works. We have 30 seconds left in the round, Sully.
30 seconds
Gen.G are
left.
going at a snail's pace.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about these different comp changes when you get Marved off of the Omen. I mean, he's been so good on it. The 3 maps that we have seen, or the other 2 maps that we've seen, Haven, Bind, Ascent, and even that one time, or apologies, those 3 maps, I'm losing my mind just a little bit. He's been so good on that Omen, and now that you've got Rawkus on it, who was so clean on that Sova, the lack of Sova here for Rawkus, he's kind of forced to play that Omen, and you kind of relieve Marved of that Omen duty, and it creates such a vacuum, I feel like, as Marved has been so good with lurks, and that's what an Omen does. But on a map like Split that's so close-knit together, so many small hallways, it does make a little bit more sense when you think about it. But FaZe in this round haven't had to call upon Marved just yet, but maybe just now they will. GMD holding that spray down, and Marved, there's his first kill on the Reyna, trying to get a little bit more in this rifle round as he takes the 3rd life. Maybe a little bit more to come, but BABYBAY using Marv's dismiss as a little bit of a bait, and FaZe take the 3rd round. It gets a little bit close, but regardless, Gen.G will not have the first off the rifles.
So even with the rifles, even with the pushback FaZe, they will be able to take advantage of what is the defensive-sided split. And this is really one of the only maps that we can really say that it is clearly one-sided or another, and this one is clearly defensive-sided. FaZe, they do quite take advantage of this pick by having that defensive side first. That just makes their margin for victory that whole lot closer whenever we make our way into the second half. Gen.G at this point, they do invest a little bit, but it's mainly just to keep their economy at about the 2K mark, just so they'll be able to buy the rifles into the next round off of the bonus that they end up getting from losing. Not only that, but the pistols that they ended up buying can actually be enough to put on a lot of damage onto FaZe and force them to reinvest going forward. Here we go again, Sully, though. Gen.G approaching up the A sites. This time, ZachaREEE still holding back. Same thing with BABYBAY. BABYBAY this time on the Raze, and it's massive, but player 1 does expose ZachaREEE, who, again, was a little bit flashed and just couldn't respond. Spike is down. That's even more cash in the bank of Gen.G.
Oh, Rolling Thunder, that's going to be a big fact, I think, to lock down this round. Gen.G sending it the way of the screens. And now, Marved is called upon the Empress of Darkness, as we like to call it. Player 1, though, picking off core before we can even get it started. And yeah, that's Limitations again, darting on through the Cypher. Tripwires still in his face, but Marved is in a 1v1. He's got to try to win this one out. He knows where the location of the last is, but the spike is not even planted for him. It's not even planted for MkaeL. He's got to go fast, and he's got to go now, but Marved, he's not even on the spike. FaZe lose this round, and MkaeL plays the clock. Marved will get the frag, but is there time? There isn't going to be. FaZe, they get all the kills, but they don't get the round, and Gen.G saved by the bell pick of round number 1, and even Marved losing his life at the very end.
That's a whole lot of damage done for FaZe, though. Gen.G, that was exactly what they wanted out of that round. Exactly what they wanted. Just get the kills, man. Just get everyone done for FaZe. It's not even you guys getting the kills alone. However way FaZe dies, you're happy, right? Now Gen.G, now they have this opportunity to kind of face up against FaZe in what would be a better spot economically than they were in before. FaZe now, they're a little bit more fragile. 2 rounds from now, they're going to get resets. And even now, Gen.G, they have a great, they have a great platform in front of them. Why? FaZe, they have 3 pistols. They ended up half buying after winning 3 rounds in a row. You never see that. FaZe is being economically sound at the moment, and they know the risk that they're going with every time that they end up buying against Gen.G. So it's massive that they switch things up for now. But Marved, he's not exactly being disciplined. Risky over towards mid. It's already a man disadvantage for FaZe, and the neural thread, the neural network comes online.
Oh, they know exactly where everybody is as well. They're going to try and play around that. They see the A side's got basically nobody home. Quick rotations being called over. Corey's arrived to the scene here, but ZachaREE's really all on his own. Apologies, that's BABYBAY. Corey not too far off, however, as huynh shuts down the ladder of BABYBAY. 3 versus 5. Phantom re-picked up for ZachaREEE, but in this round, I don't think FaZe is going to be attempting much. If you walk away with that rifle, it's one gun you don't have to reinvest. And you can maybe give that operator back to BABYBAY, but now that he's no longer that Jett, I'm curious to see how he decides to play it. Normally, on a map like Spin, you always have that Jett holding that operator. You have someone able to quickly maneuver his way out of the positions that an operator would more than likely find themselves caught in. And the fact that BABYBAY is now on the Raze doesn't have that maneuverability, and they're still going to try and go for this regardless. huynh shuts down Corey. What can they get from this here, FaZe? Surely nothing. And at some point, you've got to realize we may as well just get out of here with what we've got.
Oh, they might as well, but now now they're just stuck up against the ropes. They're done for. Player 1 with a 3K. Massive round for Gen.G. They snag a second. And again, what was a very scattered buy for FaZe, it was very centralized. It was very calculated in a sense. So they weren't exactly going to dip too deep into their wallets. They were waiting for a round where everyone could buy, where everyone could have the optimal util and firepower setup. And they finally have it now, Sully. FaZe clan, now they have full rifles, and it's really a smorgasbord of them. They have 3 Phantoms and 2 Vandals, but that's besides the point. Everyone at full util at the moment. Everyone from Gen.G, now they're fully equipped. This is a real war of a round. This is really going to kind of give us our taste, our tempo to how the rest of this game could go.
Oh, Corey. And apologies. Yeah, Corey wanted to go for that early aggression, try to open up something of that A site. But you're always so limited as a Phoenix, and the space is very minimal that he's created. If anything, he's made the gap just a little bit smaller between the two teams, and now FaZe. How's the adjustment going to be made? The spike leaning to the left side of the map.
Cover going out.
A single breach flash set out towards B, trying to draw something away. And the setup for now, FaZe have got one in ropes. No longer that Killjoy in the back of screens, and the space that they can be allowed here. Marved really needs to step it up. The only player that's going to be able to do anything about the oncoming push. He's got 2 leaders to play with. He's trying to bait out a shot from huynh, and be careful. Nearly gets taken down. huynh misses a shot, however, and Gen.G, they're starting to ramp up the speed with Marv being the only sole proprietor of this site, but in comes BABYBAY. He's got reinforcements to play with, and his delay has caused enough time for his team to get here.
30 seconds left.
Good opening from BABYBAY, though. Just take one out. Just take out Shawn. With that showstopper, could have definitely taken a whole lot more, and in comes the whole BABYBAY with yet another one. MkaeL on the front lines is trying to make his way through that smoke. huynh in a beautiful spot, but is it too little too late? Indeed it is. 10 seconds left on the round. He has to run on away. He even has the knives to try to help himself out, but he's gonna have to save him for an eco round. Marv takes him down. It's the Hounds of FaZe making their way through, and now it's a 4th round for them. Gen.G, they still have money to reinvest. However much their economy is going to get wrung dry. FaZe, that's exactly what they wanted out of that round 2. They stayed perfect. Their economy will be able to build. The only thing they need to reinvest in is I think only a singular gun, something of the sort. And util, Gen.G, and FaZe, both in a fragile state of economy. And really at this point, this could be anyone's half. FaZe, however, they need to take advantage of this defensive half ASAP.
Go get it.
Oh, here they come, BABYBAY. This is what we were wondering. How is he going to play this operator? Clearly nothing has changed at all, BABYBAY. Good opening on the Shawn there. Quick man advantage gained for FaZe, but can they build upon it? You mentioned him holding on to these blade storms, but instead it's not an eco. He's doing it in a full rifle buy. You're getting shut down a little bit by that turret. He's lost definitely a lot of HP off of him. The armor gone as well. Jumping into the middle of the bomb site. Corey's got one and swinging back around. huynh looks for the second, but ZachaREEE in his space with the Phantom sends him down to just 2 men. 4 versus 2, and GMD, he's got a decent position and he's got a chance at another kill, but no chance is given. There was a crosshair being held regardless. And player 1, despite the great position he's in, against 4 players, what are the odds he pulls this one off?
I mean, player 1 is insane, right? Could be able to go for this, but Marved, again, good flick back, able to shut down player 1. Scores 5-2. FaZe. In terms of tactical advantage on this map, they have been able to take advantage of it little by little, really just allowing Gen.G to really roam the map a little bit, Sully. Not exactly forcing out any of these choke points by any means, except for Marved, who again he just does his own thing. But again, it kind of proves in his stats at the moment how he actually does deserve to really just be going for frags. 12-2-1 KDA, only dying in the rounds where Gen.G won. And again, this guy a little bit cracked.
Oh.
And he's going for yet another frag. Gen.G, they don't have the best of setups either. They only have pistols. So it's not exactly that huge, right? Something for FaZe, though. Corey has to get this frag onto Shawn, but Shawn has the high ground, and he's going to be able to snag the frag. Gen.G only down a singular man, but Marved is still trying to farm. Look at the flank mid.
Omen, Reyna, doesn't matter what agent he's playing, he still wants to find these opening picks. He still wants to create these flanks, and he's even spotted the barrel. Triggered discipline too for Marv, the hungry man. And boy, oh boy, MkaeL is starving. Nothing on his dinner plate. He's a lone man walking in the world of FaZe in 6-2 FaZe. Make it look so easy. It was basically an anti-eco. Gen.G didn't have much to go off of. Stingers at best, and now FaZe a commanding lead in a commanding first half, right? They're still looking for more rounds. It's a split map, or it's a very defensive map, so FaZe, build as much as you can. You want a similar scoreline to like you had on Haven, a 9-3 start for them on that map. Can they get a little bit more out of this one? I think they should be aiming for that, because currently Gen.G still not doing too bad for their offensive half.
No, not too bad by any means. We do have, I think, a tactical timeout here on the server. It might be technical, might be tactical. Who knows, right? Oh, tactical. We barely get tactical timeouts in Valorant nowadays. Of course, we see it a whole lot in the good old CS world, but there is no straight function, right, Sully? Just so we can see like a timer on our screens being like, oh, you have 30 seconds for a tactical timeout or a minute for
tactical timeout has been called and stuff
right,
like that.
Yeah, something of the sort. We don't exactly have that luxury yet, but we do have producers in our ears actually telling us what's up. I wanted to give a big thank you to our 3 little booth members for the day. They're awesome. They're great. Ito, Flippy Bits, and coming up later, I think the Ravishing Ravish. It's a star-studded group of guys, and couldn't be any happier. Ladies and gentlemen, myself and Sully will be taking you guys at least for the rest of this set. The next sets, I think we really don't even know who's going to be in the next one. It's going to be none other than Ito and Boggs here in the Castaways family, so make sure to tune in for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the round is continuing. 6-2 scoreline. FaZe now looking to at least extend a little bit of a lead and really break apart this half.
Oh, GMD. He's the lonesome man trying to work out what's going on. He's seen the boom, but I think that's kind of a foreshadow as to what's to come. He knows BABYBAY is not too far off, and GMD's dealt with it accordingly. A great paint shell nade that'll gain them back that side of the map. Basically, Gen.G have given up mid control, right? You don't really want to challenge that whatsoever. FaZe have taken that. They can leave it. They don't care about it anymore. No way Gen.G are going to re-challenge that without more than one player. So, FaZe no longer concerned with that part of the map, but they've got to be more concerned about A, because here comes the onslaught of players. 3 already waiting, and they've arrived. Marved has been clinical in this position, but alone, he's not surgical enough. He's got help from BABYBAY, the operator, the dynamic duo, I feel like, of Marved and BABYBAY are trying to lock this down, and currently Gen.G are stumped. 35 seconds remaining, and FaZe have done a good job of neutralizing any aggression.
30 seconds left.
So for now, but look at Marv. He gets fault line, but it just doesn't matter. Jesus, Marv. He stays alive, and more than alive, he's thriving. Looking for another frag, but it's not going to happen. Player 1 takes him down. BABYBAY with a 2K, because why not? Shawn thought he was slick, that he could make his way on site, but it simply does not happen. Last person remaining is MkaeL in a 1v4, and this round is done for Gen.G. They just get swept apart on site, and well, FaZe once again and make it look easy.
Super strong hold from the likes of FaZe. That early aggression down middle, they dispel any nuances that they're going to try and split that A bomb side. It doesn't work out at all there for Gen.G. And FaZe, they latch onto that side. They hold onto it with an iron grip, and Gen.G walk into the blender that is A. FaZe, unbelievable stuff so far here on split. Granted, it is their defensive half. Give Gen.G more credit. They've had worse scorelines, and they've made it into a victory. 2 rounds in the attack. They're hoping to at least gain, I think, 3 or 4 at this point. Split some map that's very defensive sided. We've said this time and time again. Everybody will agree with that fact. Statistically, it's true. All pro players, I think, are going to agree with that. And Gen.G hoping to get something out of this first half. Marved could even drop the spike here. He's dancing, dismiss in everything. Dismiss the classes. No chance you want to peek that alone here as the second arrives with player 1 shut down. Currently, FaZe seem to be poised to take an 8th round. These last 3 players with no real weapons that should be concerning FaZe, and but the way that they're headed, the players that are waiting in the flank that's being created by Cora, you imagine that this round should already be over.
Should just be, and again, their economic setup isn't exactly the best. But what's going on here? FaZe, they got hungry, they got antsy, they got what would be cocky, selfish, whatever the words may be, and they have completely abandoned the B sites. Really looking for these last few frags onto Gen.G, not expecting them to actually make their way through ropes, but it is a plant, right? It's a little bit of a bonus and will help out their cash going forward. But will it help them out in terms of frags? They do have the positional advantage. Shawn does take down 1. Good eyes on BABYBAY, but he doesn't end up getting the frag. Huynh trying to fly on up, and it could just work out in his favor. The Satchel almost gets the frag. The last 2 players remaining for Gen.G are both really just hunting for these rifles, really just hunting for these frags, and it's working, actually. Shawn gets 2, but ZachaREEE snags himself 2 at the very end to get himself his 3rd frag of the round. Gen.G, now they will have a buy back to try to at least make this half a little bit worth it, because FaZe, again, they're right at the threshold of pretty much making this game theirs.
Yes, this should do.
Yeah, I mean, Gen.G, those exit frags, how much of an implication do they have into the future? Doesn't seem like much. FaZe have already built up such a fat pocket that at this point in time, especially so late into the half, it wasn't really going to affect them too much. They were keen to hunt. They just wanted to remove anything Gen.G had, and now we're in the last 2 rounds. 1 more after this, and Gen.G, they were hoping for 4, but currently FaZe, or I think they're hoping to at least get 10 here. They've been playing so good defensively, really controlling this map in Gen.G now. It's up to them if they can salvage a scoreline out of this one. Slow start. The setup so far for FaZe, a 2-3 split, no contest towards middle. Really, Gen.G, it feels like they haven't been battling towards middle all too often, but this round, the spike is committed to it. There is a lockdown already if they have a hint of a B-side execution, so that should send them back towards A. So a good reason for this 3-site stack. FaZe, though, for now, really calm, really quiet, no aggression shown, really waiting for Gen.G as the rest of them will start to group up back on A.
BABYBAY again. He's been a king of just watching choke points. He's been a king of just looking over towards these spots. But Marv, come on.
Oh my God.
BABYBAY, what happened there too? He got bumped out by his own satchel, and that ended up throwing him off in terms of an actual angle. Again, it was just bad timing on the actual rocket, but it was a good idea. Corey on the run it back. He can afford to go all the way back. Still 4-on-4 as BABYBAY did take one back. Now he has a very optimal angle. Does not get much damage onto his opponent, but will finally get the kill. Rawkus, Corey, all combining. The Overwatch boys win the round. FaZe get a 9th. Gen.G, well, again, they buy out, they force out, but they just can't make their way through this ironclad defense of FaZe. Once again, they will be able to buy out rifles, but FaZe, they are now just steps away from eliminating Gen.G here in the qualifiers.
And how big of a factor was that rocket? Obviously, BABYBAY missed it, but you got to think about it. The fact that they hear the rocket, they hear the showstopper come out from BABYBAY, and they're like, okay, let's hold, let's wait, try and draw that rocket out. Those seconds that BABYBAY is buying with that operator with the rocket, it's doing so much here for FaZe and creates so many opportunities. But huynh is trying to make his own opportunity. Fate is in his hands, and the fate of Gen.G rests on his shoulders. huynh has opened up the B bomb site. ZachaREEE's the only one here, and ZachaREEE wants to get aggressive. Unfortunately for him, though, he sees nothing but death. FaZe now just down to 2 men and up in the hands of BABYBAY, and I can't even imagine that Marved has got anything other than a Vandal or a Phantom. And now they're on the retake. They're on the back foot for what feels like the first time in truly forever.
Well, that's massive.
One
Gen.G can finally get back at least a little bit of confidence and overall just ground back on FaZe. Again, this ground can be picked up in an instant. We already know this. The defensive side of Split was already giving great gifts for FaZe in this first half. Gen.G can almost literally take that same energy and throw it back 10 times harder at FaZe. But now, the real tempo setter, the real way that we can find out if Gen.G really has a chance in the rest of this game is this pistol round alone. FaZe wins out this pistol round. Gen.G will not be able to buy into the next round, allowing FaZe to really waltz their way into an 11-3 scoreline, putting them only 2 rounds away from a W over Gen.G, making that gap farther and farther, and really just putting Gen.G on the thinnest ice possible. Let's see what actually happens for FaZe at this point. It is a little bit of a default throughout this entire map. 2 players over towards B, 2 players over in mid, and 1 player in A, all watching different angles, all really just trying to get as much control of this map as possible early on in this map. MkaeL does have an angle over towards mid and did at least spot out one. The util did come out, but he's not going to really reinvest into the situation. He wants to stay disciplined and really wait for really just a teammate to peek out. The util getting wasted, and Gen.G, they just wait for their opponents to even approach.
Lots of focus towards heaven, at least from Gen.G. Shawn dancing between both the heavens, the B heaven and the A heaven. A tripwire there as well. If they need to fall back on that, player 1 instantly pops up the cage, trying to tap away with that ghost. Can't connect much. MkaeL tries to swing, but up top already is BABYBAY, putting on lots of pressure that MkaeL can't even deal with the pressure. And more pressure applied. BABYBAY, the cut runs thick. And now BABYBAY is looking for even just a little bit more. Despite his HP, he wants to take those fights and even gets a dink on the GMD. FaZe, they're not even going for the spike plan, Gus. I hope you realize that. They finally get it down, though, in FaZe. 1 versus 4 and nothing for GMD. FaZe are so aggressive. They get the spike down and they continue to push. No room for error. Gen.G are now behind by 7 whole rounds.
Up by 7, and of course Gen.G are going to force out on this one, right? But Sully, that puts them in an even worse spot than before. If before FaZe, or if before Gen.G had an opportunity to win this in regulation, that hope is gone.
This is a nice spot.
If Gen.G loses this round, of course. Gen.G, if they lose this round, FaZe will be able almost 100%. Like it's like a 99% type thing. There is a chance that it could happen, but Gen.G, if they lose out this round, FaZe will be able to extend out to a 12-3 scoreline. That puts them at match points. That puts Gen.G in an awful situation, but the stingers are out, Sully. Let's not get too grim. I've been very grim about Gen.G this entire time, but let's see what they can actually pull off. Player 1 on the Bucky, because hey, why not? He's just sitting in the cage, sitting in the smoke, waiting for someone to peek. There's already someone low on HP, would be able to get up a frag on that. Heaven has been taken by FaZe. Player 1 is just waiting for the smoke to dissipate, and it's going to happen. Player 1, just spray through it. Get it! Oh, he finally does, but the damage has been done. Corey, he does get taken down off. No, he doesn't get taken down. He's not traded. He just gets a frag. Gen.G does have the man advantage, though, Sully.
Oh, but FaZe, they've got the spike down for now. 4 versus 2. Another kill goes the way of Gen.G. Complacency kills, and FaZe so far have been too complacent in this round. Not ready to pounce, not ready for the key trades. The trademark trades of FaZe, and right now, they've got 2 players to the wayside and 4 players for Gen.G to throw at FaZe. 2 players go for the swing. It's just down to Corey, and Corey alone isn't ready. The speed of the stinger, and Gen.G, they keep it alive here, Gus. You mentioned the economic disaster that would behold them had they lost this round, but they win it. They close that out, and FaZe are going to be kicking themselves for that round.
There you go. Well, Gen.G, they force out in what was their Hail Mary of the game. And they make it successful. FaZe, they can afford to save. Of course they can. Go to the 2K mark. They're going to buy sheriffs. Just upgraded pistols in general. Just to make this take a little bit worth it. Or if anything, just to make this expensive for Gen.G. Make them reinvest into the next round.
That goes there.
The actual approach for FaZe. And again, this is really the FaZe that I've been more or less expecting. It is a default for them. really hunting the 1v1s, really just trying to make this as difficult as possible for Gen.G, as unpredictable as possible. There's one already up in heaven. Already has all the control in the world, but the information is there, right? huynh is going to run into this player, and it's actually going to work out. I don't think even Marved had armor, because that kill actually went by a little bit too quick for my liking. Quick kill, though. FaZe down a man, but it's already a little bit of damage onto huynh, and the rest of FaZe are actually heading up on B, where Shawn is here to collect some frags.
Oh, and the boom as well. He's gonna get that information. Yeah, there it is.
And the damage.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
Even the kill, and yeah, even more damage on Rawkus, who's unfortunately a 5 HP. Not a ideal situation, I think, if you're Rawkus, but I guess it balances out with the sheriff, right? You know, low HP, one shot potential, land your shots, you win the game. FaZe 10-4, 6 rounds ahead, and the very shaky but awesome cinematic, as you can see. Oh, they're speeding up. We gotta ramp up the speed now. There we go.
Left.
Back to ZachaREEE. 30 seconds left. And Gen.G, the A site heavily contested by traps, tripwires, and Cyphers. Ready to go, though. A turret goes down to watch their flank. They are still going to go try and get this spike plant down. Maybe salvage a couple of guns, a little bit of extra cash out of this round. But undoubtedly, this round is already over. Shawn's watching that angle. 3 players are not even on the site at this point. Yeah, player 1 will watch them fall. He'll watch their bodies go as GMD picks it up. And 10-5, Gen.G have the scoreline now of FaZe.
Well, Gen.G has the advantage now, but they won't have the advantage in terms of rifles. They're going to stick to the SMGs because even what I mentioned before, economy is still very much fragile for Gen.G, and especially if they reinvest into the rifles this round, it will just get even worse. They have to stick to the Spectres. They have to stick to the singular Bulldog that they have. While FaZe, I mean, they're the ones now that really could take control of this game. Gen.G has more than enough money to buy really for the next 2 rounds, not including this one. FaZe, they just have to keep pushing. Speaking of pushing, my God, huynh. He's all the way up in A main. That's all the information in the world for Gen.G. I mean, that's an information play that they just haven't pulled at all game. So now FaZe, they might just get choked out here over towards B. Of course, mid, that information isn't exactly there just yet. But in comes the actual take. BABYBAY snipes out MkaeL. GMD still in the back, and that's going to be a sweep. Player 1 going absolutely nuts, dropping on down from heaven, looking for a little bit too much. He goes down, and now it's the 2-man advantage for FaZe. Couple of players now for FaZe just hounding this heaven area. And one of them is Rawkus. That makes a ruckus. He gets the kill onto huynh. Last person remaining is Shawn now in a 1v4. And I don't think he can even go for this. Of course, he has the Spectre. He will be able to buy into the next round. But we're only just looking for some damage onto FaZe.
Yeah, I think he's maybe trying to get ult points as well. There's one collected. No armor lost off him just yet. And he picks up the Phantom. So that's a nice 1,300 bonus from the Spectre to the Phantom. Quick mats. Flashes around the corner. He is going to be able to evade it. And he actually is taking no damage. This is good for Shawn, right? He's got a Phantom. He's got full armor. He even gets an ult point. And he'll even get a second after the round goes off. So for now, Gen.G, they're at a point of no return. They had to go for that retake, even if the numbers were so heavily against them. And Shawn at a point in time just realizes, okay, we're not winning this. I'll hold into what I've got. Maybe we can get an operator for something to the next. In FaZe, they find themselves at 11. 2 rounds to go to advance to the round of 8, the quarterfinals of the Open First Strike Qualifiers hosted by UMG. Gen.G needs some miracle, I think, to pull this one back with a 6-round deficit at their hands.
This goes here. That goes there.
It's a rough one. But in we go again. Couple of players lying around for Gen.G. At least over towards this A side. Good spray down. Especially off that audio cue from the orb. The run it back, so many ultis going on. That's counter ulti, actually. The Rolling Thunder back towards main. That's actually massive. That slows down the take. Now player one has a little bit of an opportunity to actually get himself a couple of frags here. Marved, he's just gonna get exposed. huynh has the angle. There's too many angles for him to even clear. That's just unfortunate. 4v2, Gen.G gets one back. Rawkus is actually gonna go through this. He gets exposed too. All of these players for FaZe just pretty much making some pretty rough decisions. But BABYBAY, of course, man. This man is cracked. He's in a 1v4. Makes it a 1v2 already. It's possible.
Possible indeed. He's had some insane plays in the past, but the spike definitely out of his reach. But I don't like this from Gen.G. They want to be the aggressor, and BABYBAY, you've given an opportunity. Unfortunately, hasn't capitalized on it. And FaZe, they will not have 12. Gen.G, stay alive. Their hopes and dreams of a first strike qualification into the close still holds true. FaZe, 11 rounds to Gen.G 6. A huge deficit now marks between them, but here's a chance to close it. An eco round for FaZe. Not a lot being invested into this one, but how devastating would it be to lose a round like this for Gen.G? More importantly, it's key that they keep as many players alive as possible, because as these rounds dwindle down, you have to have that cash to support you in the final phases of this match.
I dropped a spike.
And leads over towards B. It would be their worst option. The fast rotation from the player in heaven and the player in ropes would overwhelm them pretty quickly. Especially with the actual setup that they have. It's not exactly optimal.
Oh!
Hey, and over towards mid, Marved already goes down. MkaeL, well, he's actually going to get cleared out on site. Site is now done for. It's really just heaven that they have to focus on. MkaeL still has the angle, a couple of players to aim on. They all just walk into his crosshairs, and it just works. Oh! Unfortunate. The satchel is going to take away that spike for FaZe. So no extra cash and no ult points. Instead, it's going to be Gen.G with a 7th round.
Oh, clever usage there from Shawn. Tossing out the quick satchel, keeping Rawkus off of getting that plant. FaZe. That lead is starting to become a little bit slim, my friends. You have 2 rounds so far in this second half, and Gen.G are not too far off of your scoreline. 4 more rounds to tie it up, and they're looking poised to do so. Great stuff from them so far. The economy's built up nicely for them, and FaZe, maybe complacency does truly kill. It's been the theme of them, I feel like. Rounds where you get a little bit too eager, you get a little bit too cocky, and you kind of lose control of the match. They need to regain control here. Listen to Marved, follow his calls, and so far they're following him straight into elevator, and this could work out nicely. They do still have 1 player waiting outside of A. Huynh's been preoccupied, and there's no one else here really on the A bomb site. No one in heaven to stop the 4 players, or the 3 players now working in heaven, the 4th being that Killjoy trying to work his way into A. But for now, FaZe, they slow down. Nothing being shown here, and it's given time for GMT to try and read the situation and rotate back.
Launch out though. Marved, aggressive as always. It's almost like he's been more aggressive in this game as others. I think it's really that Reyna energy. And speaking of the energy, the Empress of Darkness has come alive, has come online. Now it's on his way in. MkaeL though is watching down towards main. It's a massive kill through the cage for player 1 onto Corey. In comes the Killjoy ulti though. Only Rawkus goes down. It's a good trade for FaZe to even take. Now it's a 3-on-2. Player 1 once again watching this cross. Spike will go down, and he has no idea where it even got dropped. Still just watching out for what would be a couple of players to walk into that crosshair, but it's not going to happen. FaZe, they want to stay safe, and now Gen.G have to push this situation. It's player 1 and huynh once again.
2 of the big heavy hitters, especially in that last map. Player 1, big place to clutch it out. And if anybody I feel like is going to clutch it out, it now has to be him. Player 1's been exposed, and ZachaREEE spots him out. 12-7. FaZe, 1 more round to make top 8. And what a story it's been. Out in the round of 32 in NSG. And now they're looking to make it to the round of 8, the quarterfinals. Gen.G, the dream will stay alive if they can make it to the second qualifier and put up a fight there. But FaZe right now, It's been incredible from them, but the money, the credits, it's not there. 2 players are shut down and shot down to a stinger, at least for Rawkus, and I can't imagine what Corey's gonna have to hold on to now.
Oh my lord. Yeah, it is a little bit rough, although, again, this team ended up winning the round. Their economy is still wrung dry. It's that whole dynamic, Sully, of buying too early into a streak. Too early into what would be your economic setup and FaZe. They get exposed for it. 2 early picks, went over towards B main, and a triple stack in mid. That's probably the most striking thing about this for Gen.G, but a triple in mid, an early gamble, and it ends up working on their favor. Player 1, he has a camera up, but he's not exactly using it to actually ping out anyone or actually dart anyone. It's really just using it for the ping, and he ends up using it for the cage. Ends up getting so much information onto one player. If he wants to escape, he has to take that off. The players for Gen.G are currently rotating, and it's all just a farm. 12 to 8, they're going to stay alive, and not only that, but FaZe, they're in a rough situation.
I don't think anybody on Gen.G even took damage in that round. It's that clean of a round. If there was something better than flawless, and Gen.G definitely just accomplished it there. 12 to 8, 4 rounds to go for Gen.G to send us to OT. That's the only way they could push themselves to the round of 8 in the first UMG qualifiers phase. Again, it's that fact of it's kind of the same thing with Ascent, the struggle, the issue of closing it out. Last 3 games they've played on Ascent, like I mentioned, were 10 to 13. It hasn't been that easy for them here in splits, but they're definitely putting up numbers, and they're definitely putting up a fight. Gen.G, though, are clawing their way back through thick and through thin. FaZe need to make it a little bit thicker. Their offense slowly weakening, I think, in Gen.G. Definitely realizing the fatigue that's kind of hit FaZe at this point in time. A long best of 3, an intense best of 3 with a lot on the line. It'll start to hit you just a little bit. FaZe, though, 5 players stacked up outside of B main, getting ready for this hit, but unfortunate for them, there are 4 players here, Gus. 4 players for Gen.G are stacked, and they are ready to go due to the camera that's been posted up over towards A.
D-Cop just said in Twitch chat, if Gen.G comes back, I'm donating $1 million to charity. I'll not be capping. In we go, folks. Hey, Mustache Masters is this weekend. Donate to Movember, but in we go, folks. Big round coming up. Win with 2, player 1 with yet another one. FaZe, they come out with yet another scrappy round in terms of trades. They're not going to be able to take advantage. It all goes by in a flash. You have to give it up to huynh, who was already in the back of sights, holding off FaZe. But wow, they break apart once again. They're going to be held back in terms of economy. Gen.G will have yet another bonus round. And, well, now, Sully, Gen.G, they're starting to get more and more tantalizingly close to that overtime mark.
And look at the pie here for FaZe. It feels like it's guaranteed double digits for Gen.G. FaZe. I want to see that speed again. I want to see them really race into a site, do everything they can to knock on the door and knock the door down of Gen.G. When that speed and ferocity from FaZe hits Gen.G, it hits like a wrecking ball. Nothing they can do to hold them back in FaZe. This tempo is slowed down. They've worked their way up middle this time, perhaps to explode onto a site. Flash is ready, but Shawn, he looks even more ready. Nade will go in. It'll drop to the low ground. Nobody for now for FaZe's drop there. Trying to go for the swing. Marv shot down, but Corey will have something to say about that. Shawn finally chiming in for a double. There is work being made, but unfortunately the work has been canceled. Rawkus does what he can, and now, Gus, 12 to 10, Gen.G, 2 rounds to find, and they will send us to the first OT of this stream.
Just needs that one, right? It's FaZe, they'll be forcing up for the next 2 rounds for sure. Of course, this round they can, of course, buy.
Oh, this is
It's all the fixins. Get your rifles in, get that util in for one last push to take this W against Gen.G. But in the next round, they're just gonna have to stick around with SMGs, maybe a rifle here or there. It's gonna be a rough setup. But at this point, FaZe, they once again go for a default Sully. It's more players scattered throughout the entire map, really just trying to get that early info. That would have actually been huge, you know, when Gen.G actually had the 3-man stack mid. That would have been a huge call, but I don't think we're seeing any more of those gambles going forward for Gen.G. It's a little bit weird over towards Heaven, however. 2-man crossfire. And it's almost that same setup on B, just a good old crossfire towards main. 1 minute left. FaZe, they have rotated over towards B now, Sully, and they might be setting up for a take.
Does look like it. You still have MkaeL holding out the paranoia, ready to send that. That'll definitely cause a little bit of an issue for the players charging it. No shots ring out. MkaeL holding his tongue, not really welcoming any peeks just yet, but a 4v3. MkaeL, a key position in this retake that'll surely commence, but even if the spike doesn't go down, MkaeL will still find frags. He's
30
coming
seconds
around
left.
here. MkaeL still holding it down. 3v3. What more can they find? What
Whoa.
more do they want from him? 3v2 now, and the spike, it's yet to go down, but it will now in Gen.G. Their tournament lives now, Gus, are on the line.
Cover going out.
2 for Gen.G. It's going to be huynh and player 1. A dynamic duo, to say the least. They've been cross-firing with one another this entire game, whether we're talking about here on Ascend or otherwise. Heaven is completely empty. Gen.G are just wasting their time by clearing this. But of course, they have no clue. It's a minefield of FaZe players. And again, you say this about Valorant every single time. Too many angles to clear, not enough time. ZachaREEE! ZachaREEE puts the nail in the coffin! FaZe have eliminated Gen.G from qualifier number 1, and now they have a chance to make it into the closed qualifiers here for First Strike UMG.
What a series from FaZe Clan all the way through. They looked confident. They looked poised to take it. But Gen.G, such a well-fought battle. Don't even get me started at how that second map went and how this map as well went. A comeback from a 9-3 deficit is not easy. And Gen.G should be walking with their heads held high. This was a rejuvenated FaZe. A FaZe led, headed by Marved, and an incredible IGL stature and an incredible performance overall individually. Everybody looked good on FaZe and Gen.G as well. Nothing but commiserations to both of these teams. And Gen.G, you've got a second chance in qualifier number 2, but FaZe, they advanced the